To recap the past week of activity atop the Fiscal Cliff, nothing happened. Today, the search for a sweet spot between the deal the speaker can get from the president and the one he can sell to his bruised party.
They've put forward an unbalanced plan that actually lowers rates for the wealthiest Americans.
When is he going to take a step towards us?
The Speaker's box, a conversation with Republican House members Tom Cole and Marsha Blackburn. Then, falling off the fiscal cliff, a tumble that would shake the world with International Monetary Fund Chief Christine Lagarde.
The real threat that we have at the moment is really here. With us.
Plus, what happens if nothing happens with Moody's chief economist Mark Zandi, Jackie Combs of the New York Times, Stephen Moore of the Wall Street Journal, and CNN's Dana Bash. I'm Candy Crowley. And this is State of the Union. Politically, the speaker is playing with a weaker hand than the president. The pressure is higher on him, and his critics are louder, too.
Just need Boehner to go along with raising the rates, and that's it. Republican Party's finished.
He is selling out our children right now with these massive tax increases, and that's his starting bid. He's saying, here's $800 billion. Now, will you sit down with us, Obama?
Twitter hashtags with names like Fire Boehner have become popular as both the right and left chime in. Still, where the votes get counted in his caucus of Republicans, Boehner seems to have more room to maneuver than he did in pre-election face-offs over fiscal matters. But more leeway is not unanimity. It begs the question, even if the Republican speaker gets a deal, can he get it passed? Joining me now, Republican Congressman Tom Cole of Oklahoma, Republican Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee. Thank you both so much for joining us. And I think that's really the key question that, we keep hearing they'll get a deal, they'll get something, but it doesn't matter if the two of them get a deal. It matters if the speaker has the House to vote for it. Tell me about the zeitgeist inside the caucus now in how free a hand you think the speaker has.
I think that inside the caucus, what people are looking at is how do we solve the system-wide problems. And if you're going to talk revenues, you've got to talk cuts. You have to talk reform of your trust funds, Medicare and Social Security, and you've got to deal with entitlements. And Candy,
you've got 34, no, less than that, 20-something days to do that.
These are things that we've been talking about for years. Now, Fiscal Cliff is a name that the media came up with, but some of us have been saying for years, you have got to stop the out-of-control federal spending, or you're going to end up at this point. We're there.
Congressman Cole, I just want to remind folks of something that you have said about the middle class tax cuts and letting them go on, and also your reply to that. I just want to play that to get our viewers up to speed.
In my view, we all agree that we're not going to raise taxes on people that make less than $250,000. We should just take them out of this discussion right now.
He has his idea. I don't want to raise taxes on anybody.
It seems to me this now is the split, I think, inside the Republican caucus.
I don't think so. I think this is actually much more discussion about tactics than it is any difference. None of us want to raise the rates on anybody. But the reality is the rates on everybody go up at the end of the month. Since we agree with the Democrats on 98% of the American people and 80% of the Bush tax cuts, to me, I would just get that off the table now so they don't worry about it. I think those people are actually the president's leverage in this debate. It's the Democrats that are going around screaming your taxes are going to go up, your taxes are going to go up if Republicans don't agree. So let's just make sure that for 98% they know they're not. Now, we can continue to fight on the other 2% and the higher rates. You
lose your leverage a little bit. Isn't that the argument against it?
It's quite the opposite. We gain leverage. We gain leverage.
So you would go along with something like that? Go ahead and
I have a different approach. The good thing is, we are the party of big ideas. We're putting ideas out on the table and saying, this is how we solve this. Let's talk about it. Now, what I want to do is make certain that no one's taxes go up. Let's look at cleaning up the tax code. And Candy, the problem here is, as one of my constituents said to me yesterday, it is 2% today, tomorrow it's 10%. And people know, just like this federal income tax that went on the books in 1913, it's coming to them real fast.
But Congresswoman, there's two realities here. One, the calendar. You can't get tax reform between now and the end of the year. You can't get entitlement reform between now. I mean, as you say, people have been talking about it for decades. They're not going to get it done before the end of the year. And number two, you all lost the election. So that, would you think that that doesn't put some limitations on what you can ask for here? You lost members of the House, you lost members of the Senate, and you lost the White House.
Couple of points here. Number one, the president think he has momentum. I think he's running on adrenaline from the campaign. Second thing, we won the House, and the American people have put us there. You're right, we did. But the American people have clearly said, we don't want our taxes to go up. What we need to do is, I mean, the Lincoln quote that's in the Lincoln movie now, you know, you've got to deal with the issues of tomorrow by looking at it today. You cannot be practicing escapism and not putting these issues on the table. It is an imperative to deal with the spending.
Congressman, what is the art of the doable here for Republicans?
Well, the first thing that's doable is to take the things you agree on and get them off the table. We agree taxes shouldn't go up on 98. Get it done.
In your caucus, do you have a lot of, is there a lot of burgeoning Republican support for that?
Yeah, honestly, I think if it got to the floor, it would carry.
Well, in the House, that's a big deal, though, is getting it on the floor.
I think it would. Look, that's my judgment, but I've spent a lot of time counting votes and looking around. This doesn't say we're going to raise taxes on anybody. It says, okay, this group for sure, your taxes aren't going to. Get that done with. Get it over with. Then move on. The Speaker's put out a proposal that does not raise rates, that does generate revenue. That makes a lot of sense to me. But you have to always remember, at the end of the month, taxes are going to go up for everybody. So let's make sure where we can, we save as many of those tax cuts for as many people as possible. Continue to fight. You know, it's not waving a right flag to recognize political reality.
If Speaker Boehner comes to you all with a package that, you know, promises entitlement reform or puts us on a path to it, or, you know, whatever, it does the same thing when it comes to spending cuts, does he have support within the caucus for raising tax rates on the upper income?
Tax rates are going up anyway, so we're not, quote, raising them. That's current law. Now, I think where the Speaker has support, and you should look at the proposal he put out. The most interesting thing to me was every single one of our major leaders signed it. All the major committee chairmen, including Paul Ryan, who really has obviously an outsized role because of his vice presidential nomination, signed it.
It's $800 billion worth of revenue.
And so this is a Speaker that's very strong. This is a Speaker that got us through a tough election and retained our majority. I actually think this is a Speaker at the peak of his power. Now, that means the president's going to have to deal with him. And it's not just about this period of time. It's about the next 4 years. The president obviously going to be president for 4 years. John Boehner is very likely to be Speaker for 4 years. So this is the first part of relationships going to stretch years, and they both need one another to succeed. But honestly, the president needs John Boehner more than John Boehner needs the president.
Does the Speaker have enough votes inside his caucus to agree to some kind of tax rate hike in the upper echelons of society, the high wage earners? Does he have those votes that he could put, enough votes that he could put together with whatever Nancy Pelosi can stir up and pass it? Is that support in the caucus?
I'm not sure there is support for the rate hikes. There is support for revenue by cleaning up the code.
Can you tell me what the difference is there? Because isn't $800 billion in collected revenue by any other name still a tax hike if you're not being...
You know, there are so many things, and as I said, this has been part of the debate for years, looking at cleaning up the code. And Candy, getting in there, and there are so many ways you can do it. Maybe you want to cap total deductions. Maybe you want to look at some of these tax credits and clean this code up. Dave Camp has put an incredible amount of time into this, has a plan. He and Kevin Brady out of Texas have worked on this. It is the time, this is the opportunity to clean that code up.
If we don't act before the end of the year, taxes go up for everybody, not for 2%, and it's a lot more than $800 billion. There's a big difference between a temporary tax cut that runs out and us proactively raising taxes. And actually, in this case...
On the wealthy that would run out.
Some of our people think if we just dig in and hold strong, we can stop it. That's just not the case. It happens automatically. You have to do something, and doing something requires the cooperation of the Senate, which the Democrats run, and the signature of the president. So we're not going to get 100% of what we want, but we can get a lot. John Boehner's trying to focus this where it belongs, and that's on spending restraint and entitlement reform, because this revenue won't come close to dealing with our fiscal problems.
But by and large, could you see your way clear to saying, I get it, we can't, you know, Republicans are taking a bath on this politically, and you've seen all the polling, Republicans will be blamed if taxes go up on the middle class. Do you think that you could see your way clear at some point to pass the kind of package the Senate has passed? It keeps those tax rates intact for the middle class and has some child care tax credits and some other things in it. Could you pass that? Because it is the party of not allowing tax rates to go up.
Well, the problem with the rates going up is, there again, the more people know about this, they're saying, but look, then you're going to come back and you're going to get the tax cuts that were there for me. What we want to do is make the cuts permanent and spending temporary. And I, quite frankly, like the fact that the American people are more engaged on this issue than they have ever been. And they are watching
but the tide's
very
running against
closely.
The Republicans holding on to that.
You
is
know,
it not?
the more people know about this, Candy, the less they're against us. I've talked with people at home all weekend, and when they find out what is
you're in a very
there,
specific part of Tennessee as well,
my
a very Republican
constituents
part.
get it, that their taxes are going up unless we act.
Right.
And they would like to be taken out of the line of fire. They expect me to continue to fight for everybody's taxes not going up. But if I can get a deal that protects 98% of them and leaves me free to continue to fight on it, they would say, take that deal. That's progress. That's maybe working together across the aisle a little bit and get it done.
I got to run, but I need a one-word answer from a yes or no from either one of you. Will House Speaker Boehner still be Speaker after the elections inside the caucus?
Absolutely.
Yes, he'll be Speaker.
Okay. Thank you so much, Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn, Congressman Tom Cole. Appreciate your time today. When we return, what happens to the global economy?